Coming up next is a seasoned expert in leadership development with over 25 years of experience in management consulting. Ms.Priyanka Gulati is deeply committed to empower the next generation of women leaders and currently serves as an independent director on the boards of Premier Energies, EPAC Durables, and Talbros Automotive Ltd, to name a few. Welcoming Ms. Priya Gulati onto the stage.
Thank you so much. Good morning to all of you. I will be talking about women in leadership. But no story of women in leadership starts without talking about personal experience. So I'm going to first start about when I was 4 years old. When I was 4 years old, I attended my uncle's wedding, my mama's wedding. And in any Indian wedding, there's a horse. And I sat on that horse with my uncle. Very excited, very jubilant to be on that horse right there on top. But to my dismay, an old uncle came in there and took me off that horse. Imagine what happened to me. I was crying. I was absolutely devastated. I was cranky. I stopped eating at the wedding itself. That's not the answer, but my grandmother at the wedding, she took me and looked me right at the eye. And she said, "Is this the reason to cry? Either you hold your ground, stay on the horse, have that courage to stay on that horse, or look for a mentor who will help you to stay on that horse." And from that day, that has become actually my leadership mantra to myself for a woman, which is about aspiration, inspiration to myself, and having a mentor. And I call it that AIM philosophy. AIM stands for A for aspiration, I for inspiration, and M for mentorship. I'm going to talk a little more about the AIM model. But before I do, let me take you through some statistics. Why is it I'm talking about women in leadership in India? Well, only 14% of top roles are given to women in India. Only 14%. 50% of the women drop out mid and senior levels. And the reason that they drop out are bias, the politics at work, or the burnout itself, or maybe some social causes as well. So 50% of the women in India are dropping out from the workforce itself. 23% is the women participation in the workforce as per the World Bank report, and this is only going down. And only 65% of the women who are very educated yet don't get to jobs. And there are reasons for it, and maybe we ourselves have to be blamed for it. Why is it that I'm talking to the young boys here as well? Because you young boys are also our ambassadors. It's not just about the girls enabling it for themselves, but the young boys need to be taught these lessons, I think, very early on. I have 2 young boys as well at home, and I do give these lessons to them as well. That's why women in leadership is not just about us women, but also about the boys and the young ambassadors, the men at the workforce itself. Let me talk about the AIM model now. Well, the first one, which is about ambition, which is, do you want to be on the horse? Do you really care to be on that horse and lead? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And what is that horse look like to you? Because different people could have different horses. So hence, what is your horse like? Do you want to lead? Do you have that passion? I know a lot of people spoke about the passion and the other things enabling it. So do you want to lead itself? As per Harvard Business Review, women are less likely than men to apply for senior roles unless they're not 100% sure. For men, it's around 60-70% sure when they apply for the senior roles itself. And most of the women do not apply for these roles unless they're very confident that they're going to crack it. And that's us, women. Now, you don't have to be 100% there. The role grows with you. You grow with the role. And therefore, apply for these roles and dream about these roles even when you're 60, 70% ready. And I think this is a lesson we young women have to be told very early on. When I got my board position, my first board position, and this recruiter called me up and he was asking for my resume, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready yet. And that's the question I told the recruiter. And he was like, no, but I think you're ready. You know your finance. You know your HR. This is what the board is looking for. He literally had to cajole me to apply for the position itself. And then he told me there were 10 other men who were pushing for their case. Whereas, and this is not just my story. I have spoken to a lot of senior women leaders across, and they all feel the same. Are we really ready? Are we really yet there? We do have the ambition, but until unless we're not 100% sure, we don't even apply. And I think that narrative needs to change with the younger generation. And that's why I'm telling you this story, that do apply for those jobs, those roles, even if you're 60, 70% there. And that's the ambition that you need to feed in very early on. It's that dream that you need to start. So that's the A for the ambition itself. The second one, which is inspiration, the courage. Do you have that grit? What takes us there is, do I belong there? So when I was sitting on that horse, did I feel that I belonged there when that old man was pulling me out? But was I questioning myself that a boy needs to sit? I was not very sure. So feeling that grit, having that confidence in you that you do belong on that seat and you do need that seat. And that's what the inspiration stands for. I is for that inspiration to yourself and also to the others. Because when you are sitting on that seat, there are so many others who are getting inspired by you. The picture that you see here is Women in Steel. This was the first time some women, of us women went to the blast furnace and did a project. And this was the first time we were questioned, of course, can women work in steel industry? Can they do this blast furnace work? Of course, there were questions. But that courage that it took, A, to take that step, B, to stay there, and C, to ensure that the project was delivered on time. And that's the inspiration that I'm talking about. A lot of times, as per research, and this is lean in research, that women are mistaken for lower positions even when they are in leadership positions. And that mistake happens not because somebody is looking down upon you, but because of those biases. And that's the time for us to step in, push our shoulders back, chest up, and actually feel that energy that we actually belong there. And that's the inspiration that I'm talking about as per the AIM model. The next one, very important. A lot of times we shy away from taking that help. So that's the M of the mentorship model. M stands for mentorship. Now, mentorship could be in the form of sponsors. Sponsors are your advocates. Advocates who are going to talk about you, who are going to have your back all the time. And it is not just for workplace, it's for life. It's for your school, it's for your later, for your careers, for your jobs. So those are your sponsors. Whereas mentors are the people who are going to guide you because they've gone through similar experience. They're going to help you out to navigate that path. And that's the M. We all need that person who's going to help us out or push us in times of crisis. So for example, when I was 4 years old, had I asked for that help instead of crying, looked around at that wedding reception and seen somebody who was willing to help me out and, fight it out with that old uncle, maybe I would have still been sitting on that horse that time during the wedding. I don't have a picture from that wedding of sitting on the horse, reason being that I was pulled out so early on. So looking out for those mentors and sponsors is absolutely important. And I'll give you a little data on that as well. Women with sponsors are 27% likely to do better if they did not have sponsors. And that's why sponsorship, mentorship is so important. As I said, it's not just for the jobs, but also for early on careers. You have your teachers as mentors, you have your parents as mentors. You could also have a peer set who could be your mentor or your guide. But do differentiate between a sponsor and a mentor. A mentor is somebody who would guide you, who would help you in that journey, would have navigated that before, hence would be able to tell you what is right or wrong, but the decision would always be yours. They would just be helping you out with their journey and questioning you and guiding you. Whereas a sponsor would advocate for you through your journey itself. So look out for A, your dream, B, have that courage and that grit to be there on the horse and feel belonged. Feel you owe that space. And thirdly, as I said, have that mentor either in the form of a sponsor or a mentor itself. What about AI? Our earlier speaker spoke about 17 trillion being added to the economy, to the GDP of the world. AI is absolutely important, not shying away from it. I'm an absolute advocate of AI. I'm a partner with Grant Thornton. We believe in AI. We work with AI. We also work on client problems with AI. AI is something which uses historical data to form algorithms to, solve those problems. What's the issue? Why am I getting in AI with women in leadership? Is the question each one of you would be having. And the real answer to that is because it's getting in historical data and it is being used for recruitment today, those biases are creeping in the data for hiring some of the women leaders. And yes, I'll pause here, reason being that that is so stark, so scary, that those biases of history may creep in when you're being hired as well. And therefore, but there is a solution to that. And the solution to that is that we clean up the data, remove those biases, and ensure that the algorithms work better so that the women can also be hired. As per an MIT study, in 2022, that study was very recent, that AI systems used for hiring replicate gender bias in 40% of the cases. And hence, dear friends, we want to see you all in boards. We want to see you in leadership positions. And therefore, this entire data needs to be cleaned up so that those algorithms do not make the mistake of hiring just because men were hired in leadership positions in the past. Therefore, they hire them. And therefore, AI is extremely important when we talk about women in leadership positions itself. So I'm going to pause for a second to talk and take you through the AIM model again. Reason being that, you do two things, but you do them well and ensure that everybody has understood them. So the AIM model is about the ambition, the inspiration, and the mentorship that each one of us needs to inculcate. As far as ambition is concerned, it is about, do I want to be on that horse? Or what is my horse like? What is my dream, my passion? And therefore, move towards that, work towards that. Inspiration is about the grit and the courage to feel belonged there, to ensure that we work towards it. And mentorship is about the sponsors and the mentors that we need to make sure that we're not doing this alone. We need help of people while doing this entire work. What I'm going to pause and end this message with is that be there on the horse, ensure that you feel belonged, and even if people are neighing around you, don't care about it as long as you have the sponsors. As far as AI and algorithms are concerned, even if they are not looking out for you, ensure that you break that path, you break the mold to be there in that position for women in leadership. Thank you so much for hearing me out. And we want the support of the men also as far as women in leadership is concerned. So thank you so much.